Hello to all our incoming 8th grade, 9th grade students from West Ruther and from other private institutions from surrounding area of Rochester. My name is Neil DeLuca, principal of Rochester High School. And we wanted to take this opportunity to our incoming freshmen for next year, just to introduce the administrative team as well as the counseling team tonight for you, everyone to kind of get connected with your school counselor, but also the administrative team here at Rochester High School. Real quick, before we begin tonight's event, I'd like to go around the screen right now and have everyone introduce themselves. So I'll start with my left, maybe you're right, Mrs. Melissa Kinney.
Hi, my name is Melissa Kinney. I'm a counselor for all grades, last names BR through DA.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Otwil-Seka, and my caseload is A to BQ.
Hello, I'm Aaliyah Kagans, and I service students with last name DB through H, all grades.
Hello, my name is Dean Allen, Athletic Director, Rochester High School.
My name is Kelly Messing Marabito, and I service students last name SF through Z.
My name is Christopher Green, and I service students I through MON.
My name is Diana Sorrentino, and I'm one of the counselors here. My students are last names MOO through SE. Yes, that spells moose.
Hi, I'm Kathy Karwacki, and I'm the counseling secretary.
Hello, Casey Westcott, one of the assistant principals at Rochester.
And my name is Josh Wrinkle, and I'm the other assistant principal at Rochester High.
Thank you, everyone, for the introductions. And so for parents, we thought that it'd be important tonight to connect with you because the original scheduled 8th grade parent night, if you recall, was on the last day of official school before we went on our break here for COVID-19. And so this is going to be an amended version of what we normally would present to you. Usually in the 8th grade parent night, you get a chance to meet the counselors one-on-one, as well as meet us one-on-one, and then some activities and that we have in the school, as well as sports. So there's a lot going on in that 8th grade parent night. So I'm sure you'll have a lot more questions after tonight's presentation. And then I will say that please reach out to any of us that are on the screen tonight if a question does arise. I do not want parents to go the whole summer with contemplating emailing us and wondering if I would have done this, then that. That always goes through my mind. So please reach out if you have any questions. We are here 24 hours a day, just through email, and then it'll take us 24 hours though to answer you back. So to begin today, the administrative team wants to talk about our school community and what our school community really comprises of and makes itself up of. There's 3 words that we drive Rochester High School on, and that's tradition, character, and achievement. And that's something our students hear about all the time, either through communications or even through when we talk one-on-one with students, is that we're always honing in on those 3 components of our school. So to talk about tradition, character, achievement, I have Mr. Westcott, Mr. Wrinkle, and myself. We will talk about some of the key components of those 3 words. And to start, I'm going to pass it over to Mr. Wrinkle first. Mr. Wrinkle.
Thank you, Mr. DeLuca. So I have the opportunity to talk about character in that phrase. Tradition, character, and achievement, again, to echo what Mr. DeLuca said, really are at the heart of what makes a Rochester Falcon a Rochester Falcon. And one of the things that was most impressive to me when I first arrived at Rochester was the character of the student body. And when I say character, it's truly a family. People care about one another. They're concerned about one another. They want to make sure that everybody is experiencing Rochester High as they do, and that they're having a positive experience in this building. When you walk into Rochester for the first time, 8th graders, you're going to have somebody say hi to you, no doubt. You're going to have somebody give you a high five in the hallway, show you to your first class, help you find your locker, whatever you need. And that's just something that that's the norm at Rochester High because of the type of kids that we have. We're obviously also very mindful of what makes us different, and we appreciate that. We highlight those different things in our building. And that all goes to create a strong foundation, a personal foundation of the student beyond what they achieve academically. And so it's one of the things that we have prepared for you. We know we're going to be welcoming for you, but we also have high expectations for you in that department, that you become part of that family when you come to Rochester for the first time in the fall.
Thank you, Mr. Wrinkle. Mr. Westcott.
Hi, so I'm going to talk a little bit about achievement here, and essentially we just got done celebrating our seniors and sending them off with a virtual honors convocation and all the achievement that they've accomplished over those 4 years. And although those are the traditional modes of achievement, there's a lot more to it than that. And so it's the achievement of the individual student, whether it's in their classes or whether it's with a club or a sport or the performing arts. And so that's the area that I just kind of want to touch on briefly, is that achievement is much greater than a grade or a score that they get. In fact, some of the most meaningful achievements are the achievements that teams do, or clubs, or the incoming freshman class as a whole is going to achieve. And so we're really excited about that. Our focus is to give kids as many opportunities for achievement as possible and encourage and help them along the way. And at the same time, embrace that challenge and that kind of uncomfortable feel as you head towards achievement or head towards achieving something new, and making sure that our arms around them as well when we do have those failures, because we're learning with those and growing, and we'll get there with achievement. Mr. DeLuca?
Thank you, Mr. Westcott. And finally, I have tradition. Rochester High School was founded in 1883, and the school that you see on Walton and Livernois was built in 1954. So there's a lot of history going through this school. From its alma mater to the fight song to the staff that's here at Rochester High School. There's a lot of traditions that you will see with your child. They kind of morph into into a student of a Rochester Falcon. We're unique because we take students from the bulk of Ruther, and we take students from West, and then students from our parochial schools that surround us, other private institutions. We bring them in, and honestly, in a month or two, they consider themselves Falcons. They bleed blue and white, and our culture here is probably one of the best cultures in the state of Michigan. I don't know how to explain it to you. You just have to live it with us. And if you're a parent that has a student that's already been through Rochester, you can definitely understand where I'm coming with this. But though I will guarantee to you as parents, I shouldn't guarantee, but I am, that your child is going to say, Mom, Dad, I cannot believe of the school culture that I see each and every day at Rochester High School. We tell our students that you're engaging adults, you're engaging each other, and you see that every day when a kid walks through the halls here. I know it's a little the situation we're currently in is kind of different, but though your child's going to have a tremendous amount of opportunities that they'll be able to participate in to be part of the Rochester culture. And to talk about the Rochester culture, even better, it would be Mr. Dean Allen, our athletic director. Mr. Allen, can you tell us a little about athletics?
Yeah, thanks, Mr. DeLuca. First, I want to welcome all of our new Falcons and family. I look forward to seeing you all this fall, whether in the hallway or on the athletic field and inside our gymnasiums. Athletics and extracurriculars really play a big part here at Rochester. And I hope many of you participate in multiple sports and stay involved with as many clubs and extracurriculars as possible. We have a lot to offer. So I'm excited to see you all this fall. I received some good news yesterday as the governor dropped the stay-at-home order. The district administration, we're currently looking at ways to safely allow summer practices and activities, and we're using the MHSAA's guidance as a framework. Still a lot to figure out. But once protocols have been reviewed and approved, we're going to get with our coaching staffs and see how those can be implemented during the summer safely. Still much to figure out in the fall for fall sports. As soon as the when and the how portions have been figured out, all Rochester families will be notified. Earlier this spring, all incoming freshman families, you should have received an athletic department informational flyer via email. In this flyer, all Rochester varsity coaches' names were listed along with the contact email. So now I encourage you to reach out to your coaches if you have any questions. You can reach out to me, email me, call my athletic number, office number at 248-726-5414. But reach out to your coaches if you have any questions. Those are your best resource. Yesterday, you received an email from the district about our athletic physical requirements. Valid sports physicals from last school year can now be used for this coming school year. A copy should be given to the athletic department or your coach before the first day of practice. There's also a health questionnaire that needs to be filled out along with it. You can find more information and seasonal updates on our athletic website at rhsfalcons.com. We're also on Twitter and Facebook, so check those for sources for information. And again, please feel free to contact me at any time. There's going to be lots of questions about sports, about summer. Again, my number is 248-726-5414. Email me as well. I look forward to seeing all of our new students and families this fall. Go Falcons. Thanks, Mr. DeLuca.
Thank you, Mr. Allen. So before I pass the controls back to the counseling team, I want to leave our parents with this, is that a lot of questions are going to be coming from our incoming freshmen of school next year. Please stay updated with the district communications that are coming out. But now the handoff is going to officially happen next week, where your middle school principal will be handing off your emails to me, and then I'll start communicating from Rochester High School. So be on the lookout for communications from Rochester High School administration, or even my personal email address that'll hit your inbox with updated information. Once we kind of get an idea where we go with school for next year, we'll then reconvene and do another meeting just similar to this, to walk our students around the school and maybe even do something that's more on site. So more information to come. Please be patient with us. We're working diligently with the state as district level officials to provide a healthy but also a rewarding school environment for next year. With that said, the administrative team's going to exit the meeting, and we're going to pass the reins over to our awesome, amazing counseling team. So with that, thank you for joining us, and I will pass it over to Mr. Chris Green. Take care, everybody.
Thank you, Mr. DeLuca, and welcome 8th grade parents. We're going to go through a brief presentation here. All of the counselors are going to have an opportunity to share some information that we think is important for all the 8th grade parents to be aware of. And again, if there's any questions about anything we cover, you can see here are your students' counselors by last name. Feel free to reach out to any of us by email. The agenda for today is going to be to cover the graduation requirements. Your son or daughters have already turned in their scheduling cards, or should have. If you have questions about the scheduling and what's in there, you can email your counselors directly. We're going to talk a little bit about four-year planning, some opportunities or options for summer learning, career exploration, college, tips for success, and we will leave you with that. So we're going to start first with the English requirement, and Mrs. Messing-Marabito will be covering that.
Thank you, Chris. First of all, I want to welcome everybody to the RHS family. We can't wait to meet all of you in the fall. Just to review some of our graduation requirements, for 9th grade, your students had the option of choosing either Language Arts 9 Honors or Language Arts 9. Once again, these have already been chosen by your students, and if they're doing honors, they should be having some communication from Mrs. Ashley Painter. Next slide. The graduation requirements from Rochester High School include 4 credits of English. So expect your child every single year to have a language arts class. For social studies, the students got to choose between 2 options. The first one being world history, and then the second one being big history. Big history has more science base to it and starts with the Big Bang Theory. Once again, these students have already made these selections. The graduation requirement for social studies is 3 credits. So typically students will have either world history or big history freshman year. Then sophomore year, they can take US history. And then typically junior year, they'll take a semester of government and a semester of economics. Sometimes, depending on student schedules, they may need to move that economics class to senior year, which is perfectly okay. The 9th grade science requirement is physical science. So all of our students should have chose physical science. Some students prefer to get ahead. They want to get into those AP and advanced classes. Maybe they want to go into the health or science field or biology. So it might benefit them to take 2 sciences freshman year. So those students do have the option of taking physical science along with another hour of biology. Students that choose to do this would then be ready to take chemistry sophomore year. We do ask that students have algebra in 8th grade, only because it helps them be more successful later on in those science classes with the math requirements. The graduation requirement for science is 3 credits. So typically our students would take physical science freshman year, biology sophomore year, and then junior year, they could do chemistry or physics. That's typically what we recommend. But there are other options for that 3rd year of science. That could be astronomy and geology for 1 semester, and then maybe something like forensic science, botany, wilderness survival, microbiology. So there's lots of options, but we don't usually need to make those decisions right now. We wait until we're scheduling those students for junior year to kind of see what their future goals are and match up a science class that will help meet that. Okay, and now Aaliyah, thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. And again, welcome, Falcon families. I look forward to seeing you all at some point once we return to school. So I'm going to go over the math requirements. And what we normally recommend is that students move forward with their current math class if they're successful. We are going to ask students to talk with their 8th grade teachers, so hopefully your students was able to have those conversations before we left to make sure that they'll be successful with that next level math class. Some of the things that we consider, especially if your student is thinking about moving on to an honors math class, is that they maybe have earned A's on all of their assessments in their current math class, then yes, that might show that they could be successful in that next level honors math class. And then the math sequence, students are going to start with algebra and then move on to geometry. After geometry comes algebra 2 or algebra 2A, algebra 2B. And then following that would be pre-calculus or intro to college math. And then lastly, AP Stat or AP Calculus. So the graduation requirement, students have to complete 4 years of math in order to graduate. They also have to complete minimally through algebra 2 in order to earn their high school diploma. And in their final year of high school, so in their senior year, they have to take a full year of math or math related that final year. And then also, if your student took algebra or higher in middle school, they actually have already earned high school credit for that class. So they'll earn credit for that class, but the grade that they earn will not calculate into their high school GPA. For the modern world language, our choices here in Rochester are German, Spanish, French, American Sign Language, and Chinese. And so the graduation requirement is 2 years of the same world language students have to complete. And we understand that now students are actually coming to us with those 2 years already completed. Some students are coming to us with those 2 years completed sometimes. So they may have already completed that graduation requirement. However, if they've been successful and they're enjoying that class, we're still going to recommend that they continue on for another year. If your student hasn't completed any years, they're going to start out with that first year or move on to the second year once they've had those conversations with that teacher and they've recommended that next level language class. For the elective classes, we recommend that students definitely take electives that they're interested in, but then also take electives that could potentially lead to a career goal for them. So these are the different departments that students can take elective classes in. So definitely if your student enjoys art, we recommend that, but we're also going to recommend that students maybe take a business class, maybe take a design and technology class that might pique their interest in a particular career field. Also, there's a graduation requirement, visual performing and applied arts, where students are required to take 1 credit or 2 semesters worth of elective classes. So on this table, it will list all of the classes that will count for that particular graduation requirement. Students don't have to worry about doing this their freshman year, but as long as they plan for it and complete it at some point before they graduate, then that will complete the requirement for graduation. For health and physical education, there's 2 options. The first option is the more traditional option where students will take a semester health class and then also a semester physical gym class. That could be PE sports, agility, lifeguard training, aerobics. And then those 2 classes, the health and the physical gym class, will complete that graduation requirement. Option 2 is if your student is an athlete or a musician, 2 seasons of an MHSAA sport or 2 seasons of marching band will count for the physical gym class. They are still required to take that 1 semester health class in addition to that. For those students that are planning to complete their physical gym requirement with participating in a sport, there is a flex form that's required to be turned into the counseling office after they complete that 2nd season in order to verify their participation. And this is what that flex form looks like. They can come pick it up in the counseling office at any time. And then we're going to ask them to get that signature done, get their signature from their coach after that 1st season, get us another signature after that 2nd season. The sports don't have to be the same. So if your student plays football but then plays basketball, that will work. And then we're going to ask for a parent signature and the student signature. Once all of that's been completed, they can turn that sheet into the counseling office and we will award the credit for that gym participation.
All righty. Thanks, Mrs. Kittens. Great job. My name's Diana Sorrentino, and I'm really excited for your kids to be coming to Rochester High. I know I was new to the building this school year, and I have to say that what everyone was talking about with the smiles and high fives and the feel of the culture at the school, it really is quite amazing. So your kids are in for an awesome experience. Anyways, the next few slides, we're going to talk about your 4-year plan. And we always encourage students to be thinking about their future from the minute they get into the school. We'll be meeting with them and talking with them about planning for each school year and for after high school, what their plans might be. So part of that is we're going to help guide them with picking their classes. So if you take a look, you can see 9th and 10th grade. We have the first 2 years up. This is sort of just an outline of our basic graduation requirements. And I realize, if I didn't live and breathe this, it might be a little bit confusing. And so I just want to explain it a little bit. And I think this can help sort of as, like I said, that outline to help students when they're planning. So go ahead and if you look underneath where it says 9th grade, you can see the 6 courses listed: English, math, science, social studies, and then 2 spaces for electives. So, these courses taken may vary, but it's sort of the generic what most kids are taking. So you'll see LA 9, Algebra 1, but maybe kids might be in a different math when they're starting in 9th grade, physical science, world history, and then perhaps a world language. A lot of times our students are taking a world language level 1, like Spanish or something in 8th grade, and then they might come to high school and take the 2nd year as a 9th grader. Okay. And so in 10th grade, you can see also LA 10, geometry is the next in the math sequence, biology, US history, and then there's 2 spaces each semester for kids to pick an elective. And we will be meeting with kids every school year to go over, just like we did earlier, what those graduation requirements are, what they look like, and how to fit them into your schedule. But when you see those elective spots, those are opportunities to put things in place. Next slide, please. All right, and then we can see junior and senior year. Again, when you look under the grade level, you can see the core courses and then where the elective spots are offered. So for 11th grade, LA 11, but that's not what it's called. There's going to be many options for kids, and we'll educate them on that as we get closer to it. Whatever their next math sequence is, so in this example, it's Algebra 2. the social studies, government, and econ, but we know as they get older, there tends to be other options like AP, and sometimes there's honors. And then third, science, maybe chemistry or physics or one of those flex options. If you look at senior year, if you've taken care of everything, all your visual performing applied arts and your gym, your PE and health, your world language, really all that's required senior year is English and math. But there's a lot of spaces where kids can take more academic courses or maybe some of the electives that they didn't have room for before. But this is where, like I said, we encourage kids to make their 4-year plan, and we're gonna help them with it and help them figure out how to fit things in. Part of it right now is they don't know what they don't know because they haven't been in high school to see everything that's offered and all the opportunities. And we know as the years rolls on, they might change their mind about what they're interested in and where they're headed. Next slide, please. So here's a sample of a 4-year plan that has science emphasis, 4 years of science emphasis. So if you go ahead and look underneath 9th grade, earlier we talked about taking 2 science courses in 1 school year. Some kids opt to do that because they're trying to make more space perhaps for more science courses. So you can see English, geometry, because it's recommended that if you're doubling up on the sciences as a freshman that you be in geometry, physical science, biology, world history, and world language. And then as you move forward, you can see that they fit in their their health and their PE, and they took chemistry. And then junior and senior year, you can see where they fit in AP chemistry, anatomy, phys, and AP bio. But I have had the experience where students maybe didn't take the double sciences freshman year, and they still were able, through careful planning with their 4-year plan, to get in those AP sciences. All right, then this is a sample 4-year plan with OTEC in it, OSTC, which is our vocational school. Kids can go there for half their day during junior and senior year, and they can learn a trade. It's really an awesome opportunity, and you can visit their website. So in 9th and 10th grade, we really recommend that kids fit in their PE and health and their world language. And then during junior and senior year, there's room for the rest of their graduation requirements. It's an awesome opportunity. Remember, we live, sleep, breathe, and eat schedule planning, so don't be afraid to reach out to us so we can help you and your student with planning their future. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Sorrentino. And before I move on from this slide, this is a good segue to the things that I'm going to talk about. It's going to be career technical opportunities for students. When it comes to our OTEC program, you can see here in this slide that there really needs to be some planning early on. Students actually will make the decision to go to our technical school in 10th grade so they can have the room that they will need for OTEC. You can see OTEC takes up half their school day. So they're still able to get all those graduation requirements done. You can see the student here is still taking Algebra 2 and pre-calculus, as well as chemistry or physics, depending on the program that they want to go into. Okay, so this is what we would consider to be another option for students when it comes to how am I going to create room in my schedule and to plan ahead. We have our summer learning program each and every year, and that's where students could be making up a class, maybe at the date in past that was required for graduation, but a lot of students will also use it to get ahead. We don't allow students to get ahead in certain subject areas such as math, unless there's a special program such as our geometry that allows students to get ahead in the summer. A lot of students will take classes in social studies or maybe even their health in order to do that. We also have an option called credit by exam. This is for students who feel I already know this information, so I want to move past this class. A lot of students will do this in a world language because maybe it's a heritage language, something they've been speaking in their home. And so what the student can do is simply take the final exam. If they meet the requirement to pass the course, we award that credit. Students can also take, as I said, high school credit during the summer learning program, as well as our adult education center, or through something we call project graduation. And again, that's primarily for credit makeup, but students can also use the summer to get ahead. We also have our flex options. This is something where if a student has something in their career plan and they want to bypass, say, a world language second year or that third year of science because they want to focus on a CTE, career technical education program, they can do so, or maybe a visual, performing, and applied arts, they're able to do that. So we go over those options with students as they're making their way through high school. One of the things that some of our 8th grade students might consider is that world language option. If they've taken at least one credit at the middle school level and don't want to take that second year of world language, they want to take additional visual, performing, applied arts, they could use that. Mrs. Kagan's highlighted the health and PE option. So we want to give students options in the graduation requirement that fit their skills and abilities as well as their interests. This is the flex option form. So you can see as a counselor, we would go through this with the student, check the areas that they plan on taking, and then you as a parent or guardian would also have that discussion and then sign off on that form and get it back to us as counselors. Okay, career technical education is something that we have both in-house and as well as through our OTEC program. You can see our offerings here, and there's certain clusters that students can focus on, such as computers or business management, marketing, architecture. There's a lot of different ways to get involved in those specific course offerings, and OTEC is another way to do that. Our technical school is only about a 10-minute bus ride for students, or if they wanted to drive themselves, they certainly could do that. You can see here are all of the options that are available to students. What I love about OTEC is for those students who love the hands-on learning, this is a perfect place for them. If they know that maybe a job right outside of high school is what's in their future, or maybe going into a 2-year program at OCC, there are some perfect opportunities for them here. You can see where we have those asterisks next to our programs. Those are our early college programs. What that means is students can take what we call a 13th year in high school and essentially get an associate's degree for free through OCC. They would focus in one of these areas at OTEC. In addition, over those years of high school, so 11th grade, 12th grade, and in that 13th year, students would also be taking classes at Oakland Community College for free to earn an associate's degree. This doesn't put any student behind in terms of going on to a 4-year degree. It puts them right in there with all the rest of the students in terms of what year they would end up landing at that 4-year degree program. They would essentially have the equivalent of 1 full year of college with an associate's degree in hand in one of these areas. So great opportunities for students, a lot of different areas of focus for them to go into. And again, they are able to go off to their post-high school education or career path with a degree in hand. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Mrs. O'Toole-Senka.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. As a counseling team, we find great value that every student has a different path to success and happiness. And because of that, we try to make it very well known that there are many options for post-high school training, post-high school education. Some of those include the ones on the screen here. Military certificate programs, for example, respiratory therapy, ultrasound technician, trades, apprenticeship programs, HVAC, electrician, wind turbine technicians, other solar cell, advanced technology that is constantly evolving. There's a great website called Going Pro in Michigan, which covers lots of areas that are in great demand and great need that contribute to really the skills gap that we have in Michigan and across the United States. And also kind of the more traditional track of an associate's degree or a bachelor's degree program. So as a counseling staff, again, we find great value in post-high school education to meet the kids' needs and passions to find great success. And we absolutely understand that that path is not the same for anybody, for everybody. And we support you and your family throughout that process. Next slide, please. So career exploration. Within counseling, we have many facets to our job. Scheduling is one small piece of it. Career exploration is another piece, of course. So within career exploration, part of really finding careers that fit us is really getting to know ourselves, getting to know our skills, our interests. We do something, or will be doing something called the personality type, called Holland's Codes. Many of these things are done through a program called Zello, which I'll talk about in just one second. So training students for careers that possibly don't exist is something that we're doing now. So within the classroom setting, we work on critical thinking, problem solving, have an initiative, trying new experiences, connecting to the community, and really understanding systems. So within whatever career that your child decides to take on after high school, those basic skills need to be done in order for them to be successful. Next slide, please. Within career exploration, it's really integrated within the curriculum, and we're beginning to do that even more. We have community speakers that align to the content. For example, an insurance agency may come in and speak to our personal finance class. There's field trips. Within the field trips, we talk about careers involved with that as well. Our AP environmental science class goes to wastewater management. They also go to a trout pond. Our interior design class was incredibly lucky this year, and they went to Detroit and were actually on an HGTV show to see the makings of that. Our business class went to Ford Field to talk about everything involved with that. Resumes are done in junior year within the classroom setting. We have career fairs for interested students, something called Michigan Career Quest. It's typically done in the fall. And also OTEC, as Christopher Green had just spoken about. And we'd like to know of kids that may have interest in that in 10th grade so that we can make some planning for that. Next slide, please. So career exploration resources. One big resource that we use is called Zello, which is formerly known as Career Cruising. So if your student was a student at Ruther or West, they've been doing their EDPs, Educational Development Plan, since they've really been in 7th grade. So Zello is the program that we happen to use. Your child has access to Zello outside of the school setting as well. As a counseling team, we do Zello once a year with the kids. There is so much more that could be done within that program. It's really a valuable resource that is at hand. So we're encouraging your child to get on Zello anytime. Also, within that, job shadowing experiences. So we encourage job shadowing experiences to take place. We're hoping to form a relationship with the Downtown Development Authority to create kind of an authentic career experience opportunity for interested students. But keep in mind that your child can learn a lot based off of your connections as well. So be sure to talk to your friends, talk to your child, and see if they may have some interest in kind of speaking to a neighbor, for example, and seeing what their job entails. It's really all about exposure that really needs to be intertwined into our daily living. Here on this last slide for me is how to log into Zello. We also have a link directly on the counseling webpage here at Rochester High. Click right on Zello, and then it has the login, the username, and the password right there for you. Thank you.
Okay, hi everybody, I'm Melissa Kinney. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what colleges are looking for so you can best guide your student through this process. So I'm guessing most of you are familiar with the basics, right? So the GPA, ACT, and SAT scores, the rigor of the curriculum, extracurricular activities, and their overall commitment. So when we look at all of these, GPA is one of the most important things. So when we think about transitioning from 8th grade to 9th grade, and we have all of these competing things that other parents tell us we need to be doing for colleges, or you read online that we need to be doing for colleges, I think the best advice is to really focus on your in-school academic curriculum. So picking classes that are appropriate for you, which the students have already done and will continue to do over time, and really focusing all of your efforts on doing well in those courses. The SAT and ACT, the best preparation for those tests is a rigorous in-school curriculum. So if students are focusing on their in-school classes and really giving it their all, they're naturally preparing themselves for the SAT and ACT during the junior year. When we think about the rigor of the curriculum, the best way I can explain that is not all 3.6s are created equal. So if you have a 3.6 where students have taken maybe an honors class, but no APs, that's a very different 3.6 than somebody that's loaded up on the AP tests, AP classes and honors classes. So when we think about rigor, we would really like to see students challenging themselves appropriately. So we want to see all kids challenge themselves, but students have different aptitudes, they have different interests, they have different things going on in their home lives, they have different social and emotional lives. So it's best not to measure yourselves against the other students. It's best just to look at you as a student, or for you guys as your child. What are their interests? What's their skill set? How are their study skills? What do they have going on at home or extracurricular wise? And picking classes holistically, looking at where do we want to challenge ourselves? Where do we need to take a little break? But rigor is something that will vary based on the college. So the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor really wants to see good grades in rigorous courses, whereas other in-state publics, our basic curriculum is good enough and they just want to see students doing well enough in those classes. So as much as we would love to give unilateral advice for all students, we really advise students and families on individual basis based on their goals, their needs, their aptitudes, and whatever else they have going on in their lives. So when we think about extracurricular activities, we do want students to get involved on campus. Why do we want this? Not only because colleges enjoy seeing it, they want to see that students can balance an interest outside of school alongside their grades. We think it's good for their social and emotional health. The more they feel like they're a member of a community, the more they meet other students that have similar interests, the better their overall mental and emotional health is, and the better they're going to do in school. And then commitment, it's just committing to the things that you've been involved in. So maybe you're in a club that you've been in a club for 2, 3, 4 years. They would rather see commitment over time than piecemeal joining random things all the time. We understand that in 9th grade and 10th grade students are assessing their interests and they're trying to find out where they fit. So some jumping around is totally understandable. But over time, it'd be great if students could find their people and then stick with their people and their groups over time. Next slide. So in terms of college recommendations, most colleges are looking for basically what we require for graduation. They're looking for 4 years of English, 4 years of math, a minimum of 3 years of science, 3 years of social studies, and a minimum of 2 years of modern world language. So I'm sure you recall earlier in the presentation where we talked about maybe students not wanting to take both years of modern world language and substituting the second year for an additional VPAA credit. This is something you want to definitely discuss with your counselor going forward when this becomes a decision-making reality. But most colleges do want to see the 2 years. So that's just something to keep in the back of your head as we go through the next 4 years. Competitive schools are looking for AP classes in areas of strength and interest. See those words, strength and interest. So we don't have to do everything perfectly. It's great just to drill down and challenge yourselves in the coursework that you find meaningful, that you find engagement in, and that you're interested in. Okay, next slide. Okay, academic recognition. We'll just touch on this really lightly. These are the recognitions that students get upon graduation. So scholars of highest distinction, GPA 3.9 to 4. You have to have 4 or more AP classes, an ACT composite of 32, an SAT of 1430 or higher. Scholars of distinction is a 3.8 to 3.899, 3 or more AP courses, an ACT composite of 29 or higher, and SAT of 1310 or higher. And finally, scholars of achievement, 3.5 to 3.799, 2 or more AP courses, an ACT composite of 26 or higher, and I cannot see the bottom line, Mr. Green. Okay. Let's talk about student success skills. These are some of the more actionable things that you can take home as a parent or a student and start the next school year off well. Number 1 is arriving in class prepared. Come with the things that your teachers individually expect you to come to class with. Staying organized. I know students are transitioning from 8th grade where things count but not permanently, and now we're in 9th grade where everything counts. So staying organized from the beginning is the easiest way to transition. Maybe tougher for some students. We're here to help. Teachers are here to help. Teachers tend to know how their class is best organized. So seek out advice if somebody's struggling there. Understanding what is expected of you in your assignments and your homework. Checking Moodle pages, listening and focusing in class. It can be hard to sit and listen to instruction, but it's an important part. Keeping track of your attendance. We know the students that are in school tend to do better. So making a priority to be in school when we're healthy, especially in the current circumstances, is important. Keeping track of your grades. We have some students that are on student view all the time and some parents that are on parent view all the time. I'm sure there's a sweet spot in there of not checking daily, but checking pretty frequently, so you can make sure as parents that you're supporting your students as they make this transition. They're not going to do it perfectly. So kind of having that accountability piece is good just for coaching purposes. But all of the information you need would be in parent view and student view. And if you don't know, you can always reach out to the teachers and then to us. Asking for help is key as well, and finding some older mentors is helpful as well. Staying informed, there's lots of modes of communication at Rochester High School. You'll see that our webpage is pretty robust and gets updated quite frequently. Parent newsletter, we've got daily announcements posted online, school messenger. The PTSA is a great resource as well, and we encourage you to join. Key information like report cards, those are online and accessible to you. We've got staff emails and voicemails that you can reach out to individual teachers. Parent-teacher conferences are a really great resource, especially now that we have online sign-up. It's a great way for you to know when your time is and go have that face-to-face discussion with that teacher. And then we've got our counseling webpage, which we do our best to keep updated, and we send out a counseling newsletter as well. Okay, and with that, I will hand it back to Mr. Green.
Thank you so much. Let me just get my video back up here. Okay, so I just wanted to finish off with some reminders, again, regarding your child's schedule. Every year we'll be going through this process with them. You want to be a part of this process. Parents should be able to see what students have chosen on their parent view. So if you haven't logged into parent view yet, you will be able to do that once you get your packet and your username. So that's a huge, huge resource, and you'll be able to see your student schedule through that. Again, we encourage you to follow us on Twitter, as well as go online to our website. We put so much information for parents on there. Chances are, if there's a question that you have, the answer is located there on our website. So make sure that you are going online, finding us on Twitter, finding us online, and we want to make sure that we're there for you. So here's the counseling team once again. We just wanted to say welcome to Rochester. Thank you for taking the time to watch our video, and goodbye, and look forward to welcoming you to our Falcon family. Goodbye, everybody.